Okay, recording again. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, did you want any water while you're break?
Yeah, well, my sister was born in, I believe, 1940, so people that came to the United States was my father, my mother, myself, and my sister. And all the rest of them stayed in Japan.
During the 30s, I guess what you're talking about then, you were separated from your parents for a number of years, around 1930 something, 33 to about 36,
About
37.
7, 8 years, you're right, yeah.
You didn't see both of your parents. So you were raised by your grandparents then.
Yeah,
So, okay.
and my dad came back to continue his management of the nursery. And one in Manhattan Beach was sold during the while we were in the camp. But he had another nursery in Sierra Madre.
Okay, continue.
So he had my dad's employee probably has a lot of history of this area, having the owner of the nursery, you know. So
Going back to your father or your parents, what port of entry, where did he come into this country from? Do you happen to know? You know, did they come in through
well,
Seattle, San
I don't
Francisco,
know.
LA?
I don't know about other people, but the most Issei came to the United States to make a small fortune and go back to Japan.
Right.
That was the main concern. And my father was no different. That's what he hoped to do. And he never really achieved his goal, but every time he, I guess, accumulated enough money, he went back to Japan, hoping that there would be enough, but I guess it wasn't. So he kept coming back, and
When your grandfather first came, he came without his wife, without your grandmother.
well, he came by himself. He worked on the railroad
By
all
himself.
all the time. I guess he was here no more than maybe 6, 7 years at the most.
But in the meantime, he asked for your father to come.
To come over here so he could go back to Japan. I guess he missed Japan quite a bit.
Oh. So he wanted someone to continue to
Continue.
work here.
Living in United States and work for whatever he can for accumulating his wealth.
What kind of financial status was your grandfather or your father? Well, your father was very young. With your grandfather,
Grandfather, I don't think he. Well, I don't know the situation, the farming situation before he came to the United States, but he was youngest of the whole family, and for whatever reason, they didn't have too much property. So I guess my grandfather probably spent his money to purchase rice paddies. And money that my dad saved working here, he sent back to Japan, and most of them went into buying the property in Japan, rice farming. So that's the way that Shintaku family was be able to farm. And why they were in that situation, I have no idea. It's my grandfather's father's time, and
Well, I guess obviously your grandfather thought that you can make better money in the United States at that
he came
time.
for money. Yeah,
And since your father was able to send money back, and your
Yeah,
grandfather
right,
was
yeah.
able to purchase property, so, okay.
you may not know this, but the immigrants to United States and first to Hawaii, the United States was probably the activity that was pursued by the Japanese government at that time, using people from Yamaguchi and Hiroshima, because most of the government officials were, most of them were from that Yamaguchi, because they were Japanese revolution, Yamaguchi and Kagoshima were the two, what do you say, territory that started the revolution in Japan. And so when they won the war, of course, they put their own people into the government of Japan. And when the United States went to Japan looking for immigrants, especially, Hawaii, Japanese government people went to their own prefecture. So you see a lot of Yamaguchi ken, and
Yes.
Hiroshima ken,
Yes.
and a lot of Kumamoto ken. And they recruit a lot of people from those ken.
Because they,
So Hiroshima was, Hiroshima Kenjin was most numerous in the 40s. And when they have a Kenjin Kai picnic, Hiroshima Kenjin Kai picnic was the biggest one around here.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And other Ken's picnic was a small scale compared to Hiroshima.
It was all because of political ties.
Most came from Hiroshima and Yamaguchi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we touched a little bit on the internment camp, but now I want to go to the war is over. You are now released from camp. You are now 16, 17 years old,
I think
around there.
16 going on
Yeah.
17, I guess.
4 years later.
I was there 3 years, so I got out September of 45.
Okay. And so, where did you go?
The immigration law was, I don't know, it's just government law, but it was, they had a trader camp near the LAX on Aviation Boulevard. Oh, and they must have I don't know, dozens and dozens of trader, and they let us evacuation from Arkansas all came through the camp, trader camp. I stayed there about 3 or 4 months.
This was with your entire family? With your
My
parents?
whole family, yeah, my 4 of us.
4 of you, okay. Because you see 4 of you, so that means then four of your brothers and sisters were still in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tried to see where we stayed, but LAX took over the area, I guess, and there wasn't anything to remind me that jail camp was there. Yeah.
Okay.
We went to school there at nearby school, so life was about the same as the what we was in the camp, you know.
Okay, so you were there for 3, 4 months. Where did you go after that?
Then my father contacted that man who he was a manager before the war, and they said he could come over to Sierra Madre.
Okay.
So that was either after Christmas in '45 or early '46.
Okay.
We came to Sierra Madre, and my father continued being the manager.
What was life like in that early time in the late 40s now, mid to late 40s?
Of course, I didn't get around too much, but I remember one time my father went to Pasadena, city of Pasadena, to buy himself a car. And it was early in the morning, so we went to a small place to eat, and no service. We just sat there for about 30, 40 minutes, and no service at all, so we walked out of there. And there were very little contact with us and the general public, so there wasn't too much experience in that regard as far as the discrimination goes. And I went to school there right away, and they treated me real good. Sierra Madre Elementary School.
When you moved to Sierra Madre, did your parents purchase a house or rent a house or what?
Well, they had a house on the property, nursery property, and one of the rental. One I don't know how much you would pay, but we stayed in one of the houses over there.
So the house was on the property
On
of
the
property-
nursery itself.
The nursery
right.
itself. Can you describe what you see when you step out the door of that front porch? What do you see from your
Greenhouses.
Okay. Lots of
It's,
greenhouses.
I don't know when the owner of the nursery started the business in Sierra Madre, but from the looks of it, they've been in business for quite a while. So it was, for them, I guess, it was a business as usual for the continuing the nursery.
Do you remember what streets that was on?
Fairview.
Fairview, okay.
It's the very top. Used to be above the nursery. There was a monastery. I was telling you, it was some I don't know who operates monastery, Catholic or something.
Usually.
But they had the whole staff of people living there and doing their business, and we live right below that. And as far as interactions, almost none with them. And a lot of the feet around the nursery were the empty field. And they started to develop housing about the time we moved to Sierra Madre.
Okay, so there was after the war, and now the surrounding area was starting to be built up with new housing tracts.
Yeah. And there was uh, one other family in the property about a quarter of a mile away, and they had a nursery there too. Goya-san.
知らない。
Yeah.
あ、
So during that period of time, did you have much interaction with other Japanese Americans?
Only in school.
Only in school?
Yeah. And I guess after about a year or year and a half, I started doing the gardening on my own. So my contact is with the people that I work for in gardening. And other than that, there was very little contact. There was some, about 3 or 4 Japanese family in Sierra Madre at that time. And we didn't, they were about a couple blocks away, so we didn't have too much contact with them either.
So at that time, your family did not belong to like a Buddhist temple or?
No. Well, we went to shopping in the Japanese town, and
That must have been quite a trip.
in Japanese town.
Because that's,
And that's about shopping is about only contact we have with outside world.
so what, you mentioned you had some, not some unpleasant experiences, coming back after the war, but you were treated very well in school. Do you remember any other experiences with?
No, not until I got married. One thing that frustrated me was on the main street, the Shiromari Boulevard, the main street. I wanted to rent an apartment. They had a sign out front, so I went in there, rent the property, and the owner says, "It's been rented. It's been asked. Somebody else moving in." So I went looking for someplace else, and a couple of days later, I drive by the Shiromari Boulevard, and the sign is still out. So the owner didn't want to rent it to Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so when did you meet your wife? What year? When did you meet her?
1955.
no, no, no.
We met, she's my neighbor's.
Same village. Grandpa and grandma.
Her mother is my neighbor. I never saw her, but she was my neighbor in Hiroshima.
Same village.
And when I went to furlough, I took a 2 week leave to Hiroshima, and my sister was married to that her uncle. So when she heard that I was in Tokyo, she says, "Well, her sister-in-law was in Tokyo. I want to go see her." And I went there on my weekend and met her. So at that time, her sister was living in Osaka someplace, right? お母さんは。大阪ですよ。
いや、66から。
Yeah, before she got married. And,
Okay, to fill in a little gap here, I guess now, time-wise, from the late 40s you finished school, you went to Pasadena City College after that?
Yeah, in 48 through 52, I went to Pasadena City College.
Okay. And you were...
And then 52 to 54, I was in service,
Okay.
U.S. Army.
And where did you serve in Korea?
Yes.
Okay, so then that's how it brought you to Japan, and that's how you met your wife, because
Yeah.
you took leave, you were on leave, and you met that way. Okay. So were you guys married in Japan?
Yes, I was.
And so, did your wife want to come to the United States?
Well, she didn't say no. It was quite a, oh, I don't know what proper word would be, jolt or not, but her family was all Japan. Nobody was in other countries other than Japan. So when they heard that she going to live in Japan, United States, they were a little skepticism or intimidation. She thought that she'd be going to, go to Japan, Japan to United States. First one, and the parents probably was reluctant, I imagine.
Okay. So how many children did you guys have?
2.
Boy, girl?
One boy, he used to have a judo over here.
Here? Okay.
He came to judo class over here, and my daughter is, of course, she doesn't know this place.
Actually, well, a question I do have during the war, going back to the war, your family was split. What happened to your siblings in Japan during the war? They must
Well,
have pretty much a lot of hardships.
Yeah, my older brother, one died in Japan, and my father didn't know until the end of the war. And next brother, we didn't talk very much about his war experience, but he tried to keep low profile, low as he could make it, and because I don't know whether he hoped to come back to the United States or not, but he knew that being too involved in Japan, his chances of coming back are slimmer. So he continued his farming. In the meantime, my grandparents died in either 43 or 44. So he was all by himself doing his farming work, whatever he needs to do. And
This was your older brother, right?
older brother died in, I guess, probably in 42 or 43.
Do you know what
He
happened?
died of heart.
A heart? Oh. So then the one who had, the brother that had to take care of the farm was your younger brother?
Yeah, my next, or the third brother,
Third brother.
the son,
So
he was quite, take care of the farm.
he was quite young then.
Huh?
He was very young then.
Well, he was probably about 18, 19 years old.
Oh, his older brother, okay.
Yeah, he was maybe
Okay.
The younger
19 years old. And
Okay.
he came back to the United States back in 47.
Okay. So then your brother then, who was in Japan, did not get conscripted into the army,
No, I'm sure he tried, he was at the age,
right?
because my cousin, who is only 6 months older than I, he was training for this, what we call kamikaze pilot.
Oh,
He said that he would go training and he would take off on a plane, but the landing was done by the instructor. All he had to learn was how to take off.
oh,
And my sister was telling me that he was ready to go. Within a month, he would have gone to kamikaze unit.
uh-huh.
So I was thinking, if he was that close, my brother was older than him, even closer to being conscripted. Yeah.
Right. So when the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, your family, your siblings, were not close enough to have been
No.
affected?
She was in Japan. They had a practice of evacuating children by the class. It's sixth grader from such and such a school go to here,
Upper side.
and her parents didn't want to be separated from family, so they call it movement Sokai. So they had her children, brothers and sisters, and her mother moved to Hiroshima, where we live. And only her father
Same day.
stayed in Tokyo.
Uh-huh.
And she was in Hiroshima when atomic bomb was dropped.
I was 6th grade, 11 years old.
So she saw the flash, and some victim of the bomb come back to. There was my classmate was one was bombed on. And she died when she came back to the countryside where we lived, where she lived.
But
She died.
you and your whole family was survived because
Yeah,
you're,
because same village at the little, I don't know how many miles from Hiroshima, but the countryside. So we saw that just the lightning and the sounds and that crowd, evening, no radio, no lights, just a dark, dark night. And then that middle of the night, my mother's sisters made it to the, her sister-in-law walked back. And he don't know what to cross, or she don't know Picadon. We call it Picadon because she stayed there. And then every day the people back because this is village, so second, third, only one people is the farmer, but everybody in the outside, So every day
Yeah.
dead people back.
The sad part of the whole thing was that after the war, after the bomb, of course, they declared, ceasefire or no more. So some family member or relative would come to the village to pick up the kids to take them back to Hiroshima. And one or two or three at a time, they would number would decrease, and the kids had nobody come to claim them. They said. Because she was fifth grade, so they'll be about 10 or 11 years old.
6 grade. 11
And
years.
nobody, not to have anybody come claim them means that everybody is dead.
No,
So
it's not.